Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Landon with LMR.com. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at SVE's Jack Pad Kit designed for the S550 and S650 Mustang. By now, there's a few solutions out there to lift the vehicle via a regular old floor jack, or if you're using maybe a lift for that matter. But for a while now, we've had our pinch weld SVE Jack Pads with very strong magnets, neodymium magnets inside. They magnetize the pinch weld. Of course, they have a circular bottom that allows you to get a floor jack underneath there, or even a lift pad for that matter, and raise the vehicle. Those fit, a wide range of unibody Mustangs from Fox body all the way up, to the S650. But for the S550 and the S650 cars, we now have what I'm calling the fixed jack pad solution. Kind of the backstory on this is whenever we purchased the 2024 Atlas Blue GT here, we noticed that there was a bunch of under tray or lower closeout panel, whatever you want to call it, that runs down the length of the car, whereas that wasn't the case for the S550. And for the longest time now, you've had the option for a jacking rail, which is still a great option for those of you that want to go that route. But in the day and age in which we live, I think we can all agree that people like options. And where these will shine and where you may find yourself liking these more than, let's say, a jacking rail, is that you don't have to cut up or modify those lower closeout tray or those under trays, whatever you want to call them. To some folks, they don't care. They'll take a knife straight to it. They'll remove the material they need to remove. They'll install their jacking rail and they'll go on their merry way. However, there are those of us out there that kind of like to preserve what we see or what we have on the car from the factory, and that's exactly what the SVE Jack Pads are going to do. And by under tray or lower closeout tray, I'm referring to the 2024s only. The S550 cars, the 2015 to 2023 model year Mustangs did not have any of that side under tray on those cars. These SVE Jack Pads will not work with convertible S550 or S650s because of the additional chassis bracing. Here with the kit, you're gonna get two front pads. These are the thinner pads versus the thicker pads. These are the rear. They're engraved with the SVE logo. They're engraved with the word Jack, and then they have an engraved orientation line. So I think this is probably fairly obvious in how this works. The orientation line and the word Jack, they're gonna face directly out, towards the outside of the car. That way when you look up under there, or for somebody at the shop or something like that, you're having the car worked on, you can let them know that you have these, or the contrast between the engraving and the anodized black finish, the word Jack will be nice and visible there for whoever is about to lift the vehicle. But here we'll go to the rear pad. They had the same thing, the SVE logo, and then the word Jack with the orientation line. You'll also notice how these have a slant cut to them, and whenever you orientate these correctly, this gets situated so that this is nice and level because the unibody is not 100% flat. So that's why we added that little bit of angle to the rear pads. And then finally, you'll notice two bolts, the serrated underhead locking mechanism, I guess you could say. These will be for the rear pads. You'll reuse the K-member bolts for the front pads, and I'll touch base on the locations of where these go here in just a moment whenever we get rolling with the install. This is a really good kit. Like I said, folks like options, and that's exactly what we did here with the SVE Jack Pad Kit. So we'll go ahead and go over to the 2024 and get rolling. The front SVE Jack Pad, you can use either one of your K-member bolts, the front one or the rear one, doesn't matter. We're gonna install ours in the front location. By default, Ford actually says that this is a torque to yield bolt, and then whenever you remove it, they tell you to throw it away, but to me, that's just silly because that bolt costs, quite a bit of money. Just put you a couple drops of blue thread locking compound on there, reinstall it. That's what you're gonna see me do. Back here, whenever you lift the vehicle to install the SVE Jack Pads, this is the area in which you're gonna install the rearward pad. We're gonna choose the frontward hole right here that's close to the factory jacking location on the pinch weld. Whichever way you decide to lift the vehicle to install these jack pads, just make sure you keep this area free and don't put your jack or anything in this area. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to install your jack pads. On camera, it may not look like we have enough room, but I've already checked. You have plenty of room here at the rear to install the rearward jack pad. I'm gonna go ahead, we'll zip back up here to the front. I'm gonna pull one of these K-member bolts out. This is an 18mm wrenching size. Grab some blue thread locking compound, just enough to cover a portion of the thread, and whenever you go to reinstall that Loctite or thread locking compound evenly get spread across the threads. But the front pads or the thinner pad, on the pad you'll see the engraved SVE logo and then the engraved jack with the indicating line here, which is going to face out towards the outside of the car. Pretty simple in how this works. Feed the bolt up through the pad, get it started by hand. You can come in and tighten this down. When you do, just make sure your orientation line's facing straight out. And this is gonna have a torque spec of 85 foot-pounds. There we go. Okay, so moving to the rear of the car, again, on this rearward section of bolts, not the section that has the 2 factory bolts installed, we're going with the frontward hole. And then again, the word jack will face out with the orientation line. Fastener we include has a serration under the head, so this will act as the locking mechanism. If you wanted to put some blue thread locking compound, go right ahead. But the wrenching size for this bolt is going to be 15 millimeter. Well, I let this just enough room. I'll go ahead and just run this down by hand. And with this size of fastener, torque spec's gonna be about 38 to 40 foot-pounds. And then once you finish up either side you're working on, you'll do the same for the other side. Dunzo. All right, everybody, jack pads are on the car. Really simple. I mean, obviously we're working off of a lift. I think this took me all of about 8 minutes from start to finish. Obviously, for those of you at home, you're probably gonna be working off the ground. It's gonna take you a little bit longer than what it took me. And like I mentioned while I was doing the install, on that rearward area back there, make sure you don't block those rearward bolts with your lift or your floor jack. That way you can install your rear jack pad without anything in your way. If you find value in what we do, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on notifications. That way you don't miss any of our future uploads. And then until we see you in the next one, for all things 2024 Mustang, keep it right here with the Real Enthusiast, LMR.com.